Well, good afternoon and welcome back to the channel and the allotment. I'm Mal, known as a veg plot man, and as I left you last, what day was it? Was it Sunday, the weekend? I was a little bit down in the mouth, tripping over my own bottom lip. Since then, I feel a little bit more chipper, as promised. And I think what has helped is, since you've been gone, I dug this whole main bed here, the largest bed that I've got. I also dug this bed here. I dug that bed there. And I dug the bed behind the planter and the one behind that. So I certainly dug away my frustrations. So what I'm going to do now is I've got to get those dahlias out, and I've set up the greenhouse ready to receive them. So let me take you up there and show you where we are. So as you can see, I've had a little bit of a clean up in here. I've got rid of a load of rubbish. Underneath here, everything that's under there in my potting basin is everything that I'm going to keep. I've got the little green cupboard here, along with my little box of bits that will be stored away on the shelf in the shed. And as you can see, I've laid some cardboard on this side of the staging, ready to receive the dahlias, which are all going to sit on there to dry out. I'm going to cover them up with some fleece, just to make sure that they don't God, swallowing my tongue here, that they don't get frosted. I've also taken out and watered the hedges. The dog rose, the hazel, the crabapple, what's this one? The dogwood and the hawthorn. So in total, I think I've got 114. So I've sought a place out where I think they're going to go, and I think it'll be beneficial for the whole site. It's somewhere where when you drive on site, you'll see them. It'll also give a little bit of protection and a little bit of privacy to the two plot holders that are on the other side of them. And it won't block the sun because the sun's coming from this way. So that's going to be another project for another day. The grandkids' onions are all starting to shoot up now, so I'm not in a rush with those. I'll leave them until they get nice and big. It doesn't matter when I put them in. They'll go out when they've got a decent root system on them. So I've got to get started and get these dahlias dug out. So come on. It's not going to get done me calling, is it? So we're going to start off with the Dahlia Avenue. Golly gosh. First of all, I'm going to get some of this green growth cut down a little bit. We don't need all this on. I have no idea where I've put my secateurs, so I'm playing with these little things here. Yeah, just get a little bit of this excess off so that you've just got a nice, no dead leaves on there. There we go. So what I'll do is I'll just cut these down first, and I'll weed as I go. So yeah, as I say, I feel a little bit better today. Not fully back to fighting fit, but you know, not too bad. I certainly feel a little bit more cheery. I think sometimes, you know, when you're coming into the winter and those darker months, you know, I think the last few days that we've had over here, you get that siling down rain, and it don't seem to ever get light. So I suppose it's bound to affect your mood a little bit. But I'd like to just thank everybody for the encouragement, and it's probably, and some of you quite straight to the point advice, which is really sort of helps me pull myself round, if you'd like to say. Right, so What I'm also going to have to do is prune these roses back now. I'm not going to prune the roses back fully. I'm probably just going to take them down by half, any of the taller ones, because in the winter that wind can start and rock the root, and we don't want that. The actual full prune will be done sort of like early in the new year, but I'm not dealing with them just yet. I'm just going to deal with the dahlias for now. As I say, that frost came and blackened them off, and that's what they needed. But it's time now for them to get dried off and get put away. Oh, the water that's in these. I find this sort of stuff quite therapeutic as well, just on your own, you know, obviously besides yourselves, just pruning away. How many did I put on here? Yeah, I found it. As you can see here, this rose is quite tall, so I'll cut that by half and then give it its proper prune early in the new year. These secateurs are rubbish. So what is the weather like near yourselves? We've got cold weather. Apparently it's going to get a little bit milder towards the weekend, but then it becomes quite unpredictable. Start getting a little bit more rain and that sort of thing, but it's to be expected. I was saying to people in the comments, roll on December the 21st, which is the shortest day. I always look forward to that day, because it's just, you know, you're sort of turning the corner, whilst it is only a couple of minutes a day that you get more light. It all adds up. It all adds up. Yeah, I certainly carried on the digging while I were in the mood, and the beds are looking really good. And as I say, the majority are manured now. Certainly the ones that need it. In fact, talking of manure, I've got a manure delivery coming. So hopefully I'll film that and let you see just how much manure we do get. Wow, these have grown some size of these. Look at this here. Careful not to damage the roses. Yeah, we get quite a few tractor loads, trailer loads. I got a phone call yesterday from the equestrian centre saying that, did we want it now? The problem I've got is I wanted to be able to create some new manure bays. Remember me telling you, you know, on all sort of four corners, but they need to get shut of it now. So we're not going to have time to be able to get those areas ready to receive them. So it looks like that's probably not going to be until next year now. But we'll at least we can get them prepared and organised. But I couldn't turn around and say no to the delivery. You know, you've got to get it while you can, haven't you? I know that there's quite a lot of you guys don't get manure. Right, we're nearly there with the dahlias now. Just these secateurs are absolutely, I'm going to have to treat myself at Christmas. We're nearly there with these now. Just one more to do down here. What I think I'm going to do, don't hold me to it, but I'm thinking next year is one of, I had allium leaf miner in the red onions. Was it the red onions? No, yeah, in all the onions. And there were 2 beds over here that obviously I'm not going to put onions in. So I'm thinking of sacrificing one of those veg beds and having dahlias in there next season, just to add a little splash of colour around the plot. Right, let me go get my spade or fork. Right, got the old fork now. Got to be very careful here because these are quite close to the roses, to their roots, so I don't want to, can you see me? I don't want to uproot those, so let's see if I can do it as gently as I can. Now, you don't have to get every single bit off, but it's worth just spending a couple of minutes getting the majority off around the tops there. So there we go. So there's one. Now, as I say, I don't want to damage the roots of the roses. Have you got your dahlias out? You probably have. I'm quite later than normal. Normally I'd have these out and they'd probably be dried off by now, and as the ones are in this small greenhouse. Now these are all the same. They're all the same, the purple and white variety. I think they're them Edinburgh. I think they're called Edinburgh ones. So I'm going to keep these all together. But don't try and get it all off. Let it dry and it'll literally just fall off. Right. Let me crack on with that. Right, now that I've got those out, I'll bring them in here to, what do you think size of that? Tuber. Absolutely huge, all the rest are small. Don't know whether I'll leave that on. I might take that off later on once it's dried out, but yeah. One good idea to do is, you can see they're hollow, so sometimes it's worth just tipping that up and getting any water out. Oh, spilled all over me. Right, so I'm just going to lay these on the cardboard. Put that cardboard there so I won't make a mess. And I've just tipped it all. There we go. I'll just lay them down like that. Look at all the water that's coming out of there, you see. You don't want anything like that on them. I probably will cut down the tops a little bit more once they've dried out. So I'm just going to put these all here, and as I say, they'll get covered over to make sure that they don't this is just literally for a few warm days that I need, and they'll dry off quite quickly. Dust them off, and then I've got my nice dry bags that I put them in, and then what I'm going to do is put straw in those. They will go under the bench and then they'll be wrapped in fleece, and that should be suffice. I've done it before and it's worked, so there's no reason it shouldn't work again. So as I was saying, the roses, as you can see, this rose is all the way up to here, and it doesn't need to be that. This is not its final prune. This is just a sort of winter prune, just to prepare it for the winter. What I don't want is that rocking about. So just by taking those down by half, it just reduces that height and reduces the risk of root rot. Again, this one here is quite high. The rest aren't too bad. So I'll take that down by half. And the rest of the pruning will be done in the early next year. I'm going to take off the heads of these gladioli because they stopped flowering quite a while ago. They can go in the compost. Some people lift the gladioli, but I don't. What I'll do next year is I'll do the same again and buy a pack of 50 and put those and add them to the collection. If these come through again next year, all well and good. It's nice just to get these beds tidied up. Now, this bed, as I mentioned to you last time, is I probably won't be putting the dahlias in here because hopefully the roses will be in their second year, and with a good early year prune, I'm hoping that they'll put on a lovely show for us to see. Because to be totally honest, those dahlias were prehistoric. They just grew and grew and grew. Right guys, leave me to this, and then we'll get over into the garden and get the other dahlias out. So the first thing I've got to do here, just 2 seconds, I'm going to get a board. I don't want to be damaging the grass. Right. Just something I can stand on rather than standing on the grass. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of dead growth right the way through here where the dahlias have blackened off. So first thing is getting these cut down. And unfortunately, you can't help but stand on the soil. You just got to get in and get them down. This will go straight in the compost bay that's half full, and then I'll get myself some more manure. Yeah, as I was saying, I can't turn down that manure. You know, you start saying no to them, they start looking elsewhere, don't they? You know, it's a valuable commodity and we're very, very lucky to have it. So, gosh, these are really well and truly soaked. It'd be so much better if I had better secateurs than this. Absolutely horrendous. Right, let's get to this one. Well, there's none of my little long-tail friends around here at this moment in time, because I won't be impressed. I was talking to one of the plot holders the other day, and he absolutely frightened me to death. He said that he was trimming a plot for a fellow plot neighbour, and he said he got bit by a snake. I presume it must be an adder, but I hope you were winding me up, because now that is another huge phobia of mine. Golly gosh, these are humongous. Right, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll get this one out here. And then I'll come back to you, because I think I could be a while here. A couple of trips to the compost bay. Right, so I've got the majority of the long leaves out. So now it's time to lift them. And let's see what this one's like. This bed is a lot wetter than the bed at the side of the greenhouse, so it was imperative that I got these out ASAP. Why did I say ASAP? I hate that word. As soon as possible. So again, it might be possible to divide some of these. I certainly don't need any more, but I'm sure somebody wouldn't mind them, so I could pass them on. Right, there's one over here. Yeah, these are coming up nice and easy. All it takes is a good couple of days. It doesn't matter if it's cold. Good couple of days of sun in that greenhouse. And these will dry off. You see the size of some of these tubers on here. Alright, that's that one, that one, that one. Over we go. Obviously on a really nice dry day, I'll come and I'll work on this bed. Oh, these look massive. I'll work on this bed slowly but surely. These look like I've got a dozen potatoes here. Bloody heck. Right. As I say, I'm a little late, but I don't think I'm too late. Do you see these? Oh, gosh. Me back. Go steady. Look at the size. Look like big, huge potatoes to those. Right, I think I've only got one more. And that's that one. Oh no, two. There's one here. Ah. It's a bit smaller, is this one? Some people risk leaving them in, and if you're in quite dry soil, you know, you're fine. But I do know this gets quite wet. Sometimes if we have torrential rain, I've had sort of puddling just here. So I don't want to risk it. It's not worth the biscuit. At it again, I'm at it again. Oh yeah, this has come up nice and easy. That's what I wanted, pal. Still got a bit of root on it, that. I was watching Life is Content, Davey and Debbie, the other day. And Debbie made quite a valid point of, you need to nip over to that channel. It's a really good one. I'll leave it in the comments below. They have me in stitches, a pair of them. But she made a really valid point. She asked people to leave, you know, whereabouts in the world they are. You know, by just putting the flag on there. Maybe a description, because I might not know what flag it is. But she did ask if people who've got, you know, channel names. So I've got quite a few people who've just got channel names and I'm unsure of the name. So if you've got a channel name and you leave a comment after this video, in brackets at the end, just put your name and I'll do my best to try and remember, because I like to talk to people and call them by their names. That's if you want to. Obviously, if you don't, that's fine. But yeah, I'll do my best. I'm not saying the old grey matter will achieve it, but I will try. Right, I think that's all of them. I'm going to get these in greenhouse. Got a bit of a sweat on here. Right. Now I know how many. I've got one to get out down at the bottom. So I need to remember that. Stop making a mess, lad. Don't be making a mess, you've just tidied it up. Get these on. There we go. Right, well, I'm just in the other greenhouse behind you and I'm just collecting the dahlias that I took out a few days ago, and here they are, and these are absolutely bone dry, but I'm going to put them in here so I know where they all are. But look at that, that's just how you want them, like that. Any that are loose, that have got any sort of disease, that are soft, I pull off before I put in to the bags, and cover with straw. So, hey up, what are you doing, Mel? You're a disaster, lad. So, I'm just taking some of the excess off here, out of shot, and there we go. So that can go up there. What I'm going to do now is undo all the work that I did yesterday. Underneath this bench, I've put all the stuff that I'm keeping. There's not a lot, to be fair. I have been quite ruthless. But what I'm going to do is, first of all, I might as well use these Hessian sacks, potato sacks, and just cover them. And then whatever I don't get, I'll use a couple of layers of my fleece, which I have plenty of. Great stuff, this. Absolutely brilliant. Year on year you can use it, not like the stuff you buy in the shops. So all I'm going to do is get them over the top, right over the back. Sure they're covered right over, all the way. Tuck them in down the back, and when I come down over the weekend, if it's nice and sunny, I'll take these off, because it'll just help them dry. But this will definitely keep the frost off for now until that process is finished. Another one on there, all the way over and around the back. Now I am relieved that I've done that. It's been playing on my mind. When I've not been feeling it, I've been putting it off. I've been going on thinking, gotta get them out, gotta get them out. But they're looking really, really good condition. So glad I've done it. So the compost bay has got quite a lot of gear in. I'm going to get the shears onto that, get it chopped up as best I can. I'll get some of the manure and just put that on the top of it, and just hopefully that will do. These were a lot of those carrots in that bed were absolutely gone. So I've learnt a lesson. They all had bits of holes in them, and this is one of my Savoys that blew. So that's all going to go in there. And then, like I say, I'll get myself some manure on the top. Quick question for everybody. Rhubarb's not something that I've grown before. I did cut that down and it's now started to shoot again. Do I leave that or can I cut it down again and put another layer of manure over the top? This next year will be its second year, so hopefully I will be able to harvest some. But any hints or tips on that would be gratefully received if you could leave them in the comments. Right, we'll just walk back up the plot. I'm really starting to feel as though this plot is where it needs to be at this time of year. It's going to really free up time to do those maintenance jobs, to get those hedges done. I'm going to dig that bed over. But as I say, all these have been done and they're looking really good. Now you can actually see the roses. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 with the climbing one. I've got to tie in this one here. I'm unsure about pruning these. I'm going to have to do a little bit of research. This is a climbing rose. I think it's climbing rose. I don't think it's a rambling rose. I think it's a climbing rose. So I've got to do something with that. So overall, really pleased that that's done. This garden's a job for another day. There's still plenty to do in there. I'm going to cut down the fennel, chop that down quite low to the ground. That'll come back again next year. I know I've got a bindweed problem in here, but next year I'm ready and I'm waiting for it. Right, we're back in the shed. I made 1 or 2 errors with that. But let's sit down and have a chat. So yes, I'm really pleased with what I've got done there. Another big job off the list. Just give them a couple of weeks in there. Hopefully we'll get some nice sunshine and those will all dry off. I can get a little soft brush, sweep them off, and then I'll show you me putting them in the bags and tucking them away for the winter. Yes, this paint, disaster. I think basically what I've done is I've gone cheap. A lot of you commented on it, and the wrong paint. You know, if you're going to do out like this, you've got to spend. I was looking at Dulux and Johnston paint, which is really good quality, and I just thought, God, it's an allotment shed. But at the end of the day, you know, if you want it to look nice, you've got to, as my dad used to say, pay cheap, pay twice. So, and that's exactly what I've done. I've not heeded his warning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy myself some proper paint. But do you know what? I'm going to get a couple of my daughters down to, you know, give it a little whisk over for me. Our Kirsty will do it for me. She loves painting. Our Lydia won't. Our Demi's too far away. So I might get hold of Kirsty and see if she'll come down, and I'll put radio on and I'll buy her a bottle of wine and see if she'll do it for me. I'm still stuck on that green colour. But one thing I've noticed, this brown, or stain, or whatever it's supposed to be, looks miles better on camera. When I've watched it back, it doesn't look that bad. So I'm going to give it a stay of execution. I'm going to get this all painted that nice greeny colour and get all my shelves done. I'm thinking of the shelves, I'm thinking of at the back, and on the top, I'm thinking of putting a little bit of a hardboard down. I've got some tiles that I had left over from the kitchen. So I think I'm going to tile that top bit so I can wipe up and clean up after myself. Put my utensils on the top, you know, my frying pan, me what do you call those things where you turn egg over with? what do you call them? Egg splice, is it? Yeah, you know what I mean. Egg turner over. I'll get that on there, and I think I'll be all set. I'm even going to get a couple of old throws, and I'm going to put them over these chairs just to make it nice and comfy. I'm going to cosy it up. Anyway, listen, I've rattled on. This has been quite a long update for a midweek. I hope, I'd like to just thank you first of all for joining me. If you could do all the usual for me. If you're watching, you've never subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It'll be much, much appreciated. If you could give it a like, even a comment. If you don't want to talk, a thumbs up or a love heart, it'll be absolutely suffice. And hopefully I will see you at the weekend, where I'm hoping to be taking a delivery, a big delivery of horse manure. Until then, take care, keep warm, and happy growing.